Well, hello to everyone. I'm excited to be here with Councilwoman Montgomery. And we're here at the IFA, and we're kicking off, we're in San Diego, of course, and we're kicking off our annual convention, and we're launching the Open for Opportunity. And it's a national initiative that highlights the many opportunities that are available to workers and entrepreneurs with a lot of different backgrounds. And so I'm excited to have this conversation with you and just talk about some of the things that you are doing right here as a local leader. What do you believe in San Diego, small business owners, specifically those that are in underrepresented communities, what do you feel they need in order to be successful and positioned to improve their overall quality of life in their communities?
Yeah, well, that's a really good question because we are striving towards that right now in District 4, which is an historically under-resourced community. So I have the perspective of, talking to small business owners and seeing what they need, but I also have the perspective of being a daughter of two entrepreneurs. So I kind of marry those two to figure out what we can do from the perspective of government to help people. And really the pandemic opened up a lot of more creative ideas about how we can service this particular community. And so one thing that I hear is capital.
Yeah, that's true.
Capital, capital, capital. Another thing I hear is helping to build capacity and technical assistance. But even with that, folks still need capital. So that's a huge deal in our communities. We were able to take some of the COVID relief funding and put it specifically toward small businesses. And we also developed a strategic alliance of the ethnic chambers so that they could have, that additional technical assistance so that we were, providing funding for members of the community to go out and reach out to those that may not know that those resources were there. So that's what I'm hearing a lot.
Wow, and I think you hit it right on the spot. Funding seems to be the biggest key. Anytime there can be education around that is really important. The second question, I was going to ask you about District 4, okay? And with you being the president pro temp of the city council, based on your experience with the community, the three pillars of governance have emerged to help with improving the overall quality of life in District 4. One of those is the economic opportunity. Please tell us more about that and how other states can, because other people are going to be listening, and what could you help provide to them to help them learn from your efforts?
Yeah, another really good question. Again, the community, when I was elected, we were dealing with a lot of lack of opportunity. And so that comes from many different areas. It comes from decades of sort of counting certain communities out. But we found that when we look at the numbers, that the community really had a great output of spending. And so we had to look at that, and when we go to the table with businesses, we produce those numbers. I think going into the office, I had to try to break folks away from working in silos. I think it's extremely important for business owners or potential business owners to talk to elected officials and for government to reach out and do the same. And there's also a role, I think, for community leaders who are advocating on behalf of folks. Breaking down those silos is really important. Finding creative ways to assist businesses in the way that they tell us they need assistance, not just what we believe, is extremely important. And I think it's kept a lot of people on their feet during this time. Of course, we've had some very sad stories even in our community. But overall economic opportunity, I wanted it to be for every single person. That whether or not you choose the opportunity, I think my job is to make sure that it's provided for you.
You know, you hit on a good point there because that's what we look at with the International Franchise Association and with this Open for Opportunity campaign. It's letting people know that this is a place for diversity, whether people are veterans, you know, it's opened up for all types of people. And I want to go back to what you stated about education or people, business owners listening or talking with their representatives. I think that is so key because as a small business owner, you have a tendency to work so much in your business, right? That you think, oh, I don't have time to go and see what's locally happening. But I think it's very crucial for them to be involved in a lot of the legislation that can be trying to be pushed through. So I think it's good that you're looking at ways to reach to those small business owners.
And it's very important. As I said, both my parents were entrepreneurs, so growing up, I saw them work really hard. You know, they're two smart young people that wanted to build wealth for their family, and that's how they wanted to do it. But while they were working, folks are making decisions all around you that may impact your business. And so I think I know it's hard. It is really hard running a business and trying to be involved in government, but I do think that it's worth the sacrifice because there are just so many decisions that we make that sometimes we don't know the unintended consequences of those decisions. So it's super important to hear.
I was glad to hear that, you know, you have experience not directly running it, but you saw your parents doing it. So you saw the headaches, you saw the different things that they could have maybe had more support with. And, you know, that's one thing that the franchising community can provide, you know. On this Open for Opportunity, we're believing that we can educate, bring awareness to small business owners that, hey, they don't have to do this by themselves, right? And they can have a roadmap that can lead them to success, if that's something that they're open for. So, Councilwoman, as the People's Council member and the voice of the community, at City Hall, you've worked to reverse years of intentional disinvestment. How has the San Diego City Council enabled communities of color with the opportunity to participate in mentorships or increased job trainings? Can you tell us a little bit?
Yeah, so a lot of different ways. I talked about that strategic alliance that we built, and part of that was for, you know, mentorship to beginning businesses. We also have a lot of training programs that we're reinstituting back in the district. And I point to a specific example where I think when I talk about not working in silos, because I think that's how these types of partnerships really happen, where we meet people and sometimes there's a formal partnership of mentorship, sometimes there's an informal one, you know. But one example that I can give is when I first got into office, there's a piece of land that has been sitting in our community shovel ready for 20 years. And one of my first meetings, some of the folks at the city told me that I would be able to develop on this land, that, you know, I have to go through all these different types of hoops, not me myself, but you know, whoever decided to invest in to get it done. But, you know, we're now at a point where a group of young business people have invested into us. Should be closing on the land pretty soon.
Congratulations.
I'm so excited about it. It's going to focus on the green energy industry. But it also, I bring it up in this context because we needed business, right? We needed business to do this. We needed government to do this. We needed community advocacy groups to put the pressure on. When we talk about job training, internships, mentorship opportunities, these folks are going to have a partnership with our school district as well. So that we can start when folks are really young, exposing them to different types of business opportunities and different types of industries. And so I think that's just an example that we can use in many of our different spaces, whether we're talking about being a part of the franchise community, whatever we're talking about. I think it's super important that we work together.
I agree, and community is important, right? And with the, like you say, starting young, I love how you're connecting the young people and getting them, bringing awareness to them. So when they make that decision, whether or not they're going to go into business, they can decide, hey, there's a franchising route that I can take. I think BAG got something that was missing, and that's why we want to get so involved to make sure other people have the opportunity to make that decision. So,
And I just want to say I honor that, and that it's amazing, because the more we know, the better we can do.
isn't it? Yeah, it's about
So,
choices, right?
yes,
We have
absolutely.
to know that. Yeah. So definitely, is there anything else that you would like to share with everyone here? Anything just from your heart or something that?
Well, I want to say thank you. It's always good to have you all in San Diego. I'll tap into what our Mayor Todd Gloria always says. Spend a little bit of money here, help our tax base. But no, overall, the education is the most important. And even exposing me to this.
See, it starts there, right?
Yes,
and
yes.
and that's what we were having such a great conversation, and
Yes.
you're learning about the brands, and that's what we want to do, is as we go nationwide with this into all the different cities, states, let people bring awareness.
Absolutely.
Franchising is here. Just come, listen, learn, and see if this could not be a pathway for you to create wealth.
Absolutely.